Smokes cigarettes. Story 1. Date her. She quit 6 months ago, and I am approaching 2 years. However, smoking has never been a red flag for me because I am old enough to remember being asked whether I preferred smoking or non-smoking at a restaurant, and I live in New York. Story 2. Who cares? I don't particularly enjoy the smell of cigarettes, but there are ways around that. If your absolute worst quality is that you smoke, you're doing pretty well. Story 3. I smoked for 25 years. Even though I gave them up about 10 years ago, cigarettes would not be a deal breaker for me. Story 4. Sorry, there's too much to accept here. Cannot stand smoke. I grew up with it. The smoke film in the house, the ashtrays in every single room, even the bathroom. There was never a meal without inhaling smoke. Clothes smelled like smoke, and the couch smelled like smoke. Even if they quit, they always seem to start up again whenever they feel stressed. Story 5. You found the woman of your dreams, but she smokes. This, ladies and gentlemen, is known as a contradiction. If she used to smoke but doesn't anymore, that's fine. However, if she picks the habit back up, I'm gone. Story 6. A smoker's morning breath always smells unpleasant. Smokers are a definite no for me. I have experienced that before. Story 7. I don't believe in a perfect woman, or even a perfect woman except for this one thing right here. I don't have the woman of my dreams, though I do have a wife I love very much. The one who's everything I ever dreamed of is more of a concept that a bubblegum princess looks for. Story 8. Not a single person on this planet is perfect. Not one. If everything else is good, focus on that and be happy with her. Story 9. Ask her if she would ever change. If the answer is no, then I have to move on. Smoking is a deal breaker for me personally. Story 10. Pass, it nearly already happened. It's a deal breaker because I have worked hard to quit after 30 years. I have also decided that I am fine alone if I don't find the right partner, so I do not have to settle. Story 11. It depends on what she smokes, but I have met a few women who did, and it worked out fine. There is no question that she would respect my wish if I didn't want her to smoke in my house or car. Story 12. You deal with it. The positive outweighs the negative. Are you going to lose the woman of your dreams because she smokes? If you do, it's your loss. If she really is the woman of your dreams, you won't even bat an eye at her smoking. Just count your lucky stars that you found her and that she's into you. Story 13. I consume cannabis edibles a couple of times a week. It would be rather hypocritical of me to dismiss an otherwise wonderful person because of a minor health issue like an addiction. I would offer support if she ever tried to quit, and the rest of the time I would just manage it. Story 14. Any type of smoking is an instant deal breaker, so she is definitely not the woman of my dreams. I would move on. Story 15. As long as she plans to quit and has a rough idea of when, or if she is elderly, already has a terminal illness and is financially secure. Story 16. If you're talking about cigarettes, then no way. That's not my kind of lifestyle at all. I'm very focused on fitness and health. Story 17. It happened to me. We are married now. She was down to a few cigarettes a week when we got together, and she volunteered not to smoke indoors, so it was fine. Then she quit altogether. Story 18. I started using e-cigarettes to quit smoking, but I haven't been able to eliminate it from my life. I understand the level of addiction that comes with it. It's difficult. I actually enjoy the smell of cigarettes and find women who smoke to be somewhat attractive. That being said, if she embodies everything I desire, she would listen to reason and be wise enough to understand the long-term effects. I would hope she could gradually move away from it over time. Story 19. How selfish do you want to be? You cannot express that it is important for you to wish her a long, healthy life? Can't you work with her? Have you even asked her why? Look, I think if she is as great as you say, then you are indeed more than lucky. Quit complaining and go talk to her. Story 20. If you are a feminist, then smoke whenever she smokes. If you are a misogynist, then smoke more than she does. Story 21. Walk away and never look back. There are many people who respect their health and the health of others around them. Smoking is a disgusting and unforgivable habit. Story 22. then she is not the woman of my dreams if she is smoking cigarettes. I believe cigarettes have the worst smell a person can have. Story 23. The woman of my dreams wouldn't smoke or make other poor life choices, such as using recreational drugs. My wife is the woman of my dreams, and she has never smoked or used any recreational drugs. Story 24. She can quit or smoke something else instead. I used to smoke cigarettes so I could maybe tolerate it, but I am much happier with a house that doesn't smell like an ashtray. Story 25. The last one gave up cigarettes immediately after I told her I don't like them or her cigarette breath, which she asked about. It was a very nice gesture because I told her I wouldn't ask her to quit. I wouldn't be able to stay with someone if they continued smoking. Story 26. I ask how many times she has tried to quit and gone back. Both trying and failing frequently or never trying at all are deal breakers. The smell of smoke is highly unpleasant, and the toll on the body is unacceptable. Story 27. I have no problem as long as she uses mouthwash before a kiss. Stoner girls are attractive, but we can only date in legal states. Story 28. Woo her for a few months, then ask her if she would be willing to quit for you and that you will help her through it. It might be the first of many challenges you will need to face together. Story 29. I married her. At times it bothered me, and at times I didn't mind it at all. After 20 years together, I think she has finally quit for good now. Story 30. I did, and she does, and it doesn't really matter. She smokes maybe twice a day. I don't love it, obviously, but it's just not that big of a deal. Story 31. My dad made it work. He was very anti-smoking while my mom smoked, and they made deals. Similarly, my mom doesn't like swearing. I didn't know my dad swore until I was 15, and it turns out he swore a lot when not in her presence and around his kids. Ultimately, all four of us are anti-smoking, so he won in the end. Story 32. I've quit a few times, but I don't mind when others smoke. As long as she doesn't make me pay for cigarettes or spends all her money on them, I'm fine. Story 33. Just date her and help her quit smoking. The effects accumulate over time, and then you are dealing with a train wreck. Story 34. I met the girl of my dreams. She smoked and confessed that she wanted to quit, asking if I could help her. I told her I couldn't be with her while she was smoking. 2 days later, she went cold turkey and never looked back. Story 35. If I were to give romance another chance after giving up during my first year of college and this situation arose, I would not pursue her. She would not be the woman of my dreams if she smoked cigarettes. Story 36. Date and hope she quits. Pretty early on, I set ground rules like not smoking inside the house or cars. If she is my ideal partner, she will understand the reasoning behind this. Story 37. I have a known smoking fetish. I find a woman who smokes to be attractive and sensual. Ideally, she would only smoke a few times a day to avoid having breath that smells like an ashtray. However, if she finds smoking to be a turn-on during intimacy, it would be an additional bonus in my view. I understand this is not for everyone. Story 38. Jean's wild attempts support nutty smile automatic soft air crowd. Story 39. Conditioning training. Every time she smokes, give her a gentle reminder but treat her like the best thing ever when she does not. When she smokes again, provide another reminder. Eventually, she will learn that smoking leads to reminders. It works. Story 40. Get her onto the vape products. Then transition from tobacco flavor to her favorite fruit flavor or coffee flavor. Story 41. If she has every single trait I could possibly dream of, then smoking is such a small thing that I would not care at all about the cigarettes. Story 42. Not a deal breaker. I don't smoke, but I wouldn't dismiss someone who meets every other requirement just because she smokes. I would try to encourage her to quit. If that doesn't work, at least I would suggest she switch to vaping instead. Story 43. I dated and nearly married a smoker, but it wasn't a deal breaker. She never smoked indoors or tried to kiss me right after smoking. Even when we ate outside, she didn't smoke at the table. We lived in Madrid and she sometimes smoked at bars while we were out, but even then, not in my face. She tried to quit, but smoking was definitely not the reason we split up. Story 44. Annoyingly, smoking became more of a deal breaker as I got older. I just don't like it. Story 45. If she smoked, she is not what you described. Smoking is usually an indicator of other problems as well. So I am passing. Story 46. Date her. People have to realize that they will never find a partner who is perfect. Everyone has hobbies or activities that others may not enjoy or may disagree with. You just have to accept the qualities you're willing to deal with. Even though smoking is harmful and I strongly prefer that she quit for the sake of her health, she still has a choice. Regardless, as long as she is loyal and respectful, I would still date her. Story 47. Internally, I feel sad briefly, then shrug and move on. Cigarettes are unpleasant and damage walls and furniture, and I have asthma. Story 48. Do what Troy McClure did and carry a bottle of mouth spray with me so I can spritz Selma before we wrestle with our tongues. Story 49. If she possesses every trait I dreamed of, she earns millions. So I would marry her, and then when lung cancer takes her, I receive a substantial amount of money. Story 50. Walk away, probably heartbroken. I have seen what smoking does to people when they don't have money, when they try to quit, and when they go back and can't stop. I will not tolerate the abuse when they haven't smoked in a while, and I don't want to experience the heartbreak of witnessing the consequences they face. Story 51. If she quits, then we have a chance. Otherwise, I would pass. I can never trust people who give in to temptation so easily. Story 52. Continue to deliver a sulky, jobless batch. Dinner rolls touch water in the lunchroom. Story 53. I'm thinking my girlfriend posted this. She doesn't smoke around me and she's trying to quit. It's a long road and it will take time. It's funny because before her, I would say it was a huge deal breaker and I wouldn't be able to date someone who smokes cigarettes. Then I met her, and it's less of an issue than I thought because of everything else about her. Story 54. Date her. I don't care. I used to smoke cold turkey almost 2 years ago because Marlboro stopped making my cigarette of choice. I would still smoke if they hadn't. Story 55. She would not be the woman of my dreams if she smokes. It is a definite no. I do not find women who smoke any substance attractive. Story 56. I cannot tolerate the smell of smoke. To me, a perfect woman has a cute voice, and smoking damages voices. Story 57. Disagreeable sip, illegal brave reminiscent saw obtainable plants frighten ludicrous. Story 58. Smoking is unpleasant, but if she is otherwise perfect, doesn't smoke excessively, ensures her breath is fresh during intimacy, avoids smoking while pregnant, and never smokes near me or the children, I can accept this. Story 59. That depends on you, I suppose. I've smoked for about 15 years. Back then, smoking wouldn't have bothered me. Then I quit, and that made me realize how much smoking influences your odor. Your clothing, your hair, your breath, your fingers, your car. Everything smells like cold smoke. I'm not saying that it would be an immediate red flag, but it would certainly dampen my enthusiasm towards her. I'm not one of those people who quits smoking and then starts fake coughing when someone within 50 meters of me lights a cigarette. I still go to bars and a few of my friends still smoke. However, how your clothing and hair smell after an evening in a bar with smokers isn't particularly pleasant. I would give it a try, I guess. Maybe she wants to quit anyway, and meeting you gives her the final push she always needed. On the other hand, for me, it would have the potential not to go beyond casual dating. I can't say for sure. I haven't been in this position yet, but I'm not sure if I would want that smell back in my life forever. Story 60. I smoke, so I might ask for a cigarette because I'm out. Jokes aside, absolutely nothing. I do smoke and I dislike hypocrisy. However, I don't judge. The few things I can't overlook are pedophilia, white supremacy, and serial killing. Story 61. Encourage her to quit or switch to cannabis. People look appealing when they are high, and I find the smell and taste more tolerable. Story 62. Just encourage her to quit with gentle reminders. If she is as described, I could tolerate occasional cigarette breath. Story 63. It sounds like every trait you ever dreamed of includes a non-smoker, or you wouldn't be asking. Personally, it wouldn't be a hard no, but I would want to know if quitting was ever in future plans. The other question is how often we are talking about. 1 or 2 cigarettes a day or a full pack or more. Story 64. Have an honest talk with her. Tell her how much it bothers you and ask if there is anything you do that bothers her. For me, smoking is a deal breaker. It is absolutely disgusting. I witnessed cigarettes lead to a horrible cancer death in my mother. Story 65. I dislike the smell, so she will have to deal with the fact that I won't be present when she smokes. Story 66. I would ask her to quit if possible. If not, I would still try to make it work. If she is my dream girl, she can keep her smoking to a certain area, probably outdoors, and reduce it to a few times a week. Story 67. Date her. Do not let it turn into more, though. Everything is fine now, but imagine this going the distance. The long-term effects at 70 years old are extreme. Story 68. If that is the biggest vice she has, then I consider myself a very lucky man, as long as it is not drugs like crack cocaine. I will not have that around our children. Besides, I enjoy a good cigar at times with a heavy pour of fine brandy, so I think we would get along great. Story 69. No one is truly perfect. If smoking cigarettes is the only issue, I could probably find a compromise. Story 70. To be honest, I would probably try to get her to stop, but if I couldn't, I don't think I would stay because it's not a habit I would want the kids to pick up. Story 71. My ex was a non-smoker. 2 years into the relationship, he started smoking. These things can change in many directions at any given time. Story 72. Laugh together with my wife. But honestly, if I were single and fell in love with a dream girl who was also interested in me, and she didn't want to quit smoking, I would just start smoking. Forget my health. I would prefer to live a shorter, even more difficult life, but one that felt fuller. Story 73. We dated, she stopped smoking, and then it turned out she has borderline personality disorder and started smoking again, blaming me for it along with every problem she has ever had in her life. Story 74. If she has every other single trait I could dream of course I would take her. You tell me that your current partner matches more than all -1 dream traits? Story 75. Encourage her to quit. If not, move on. I dated an attractive woman in my 30s who smoked, but I had to break up with her. It was like kissing an ashtray. Story 76. Date her? Smoking is her life choice, not mine. There are things to consider and discuss like smoking inside. But if she wants to smoke, she can. Story 77. That is not a deal breaker for me because I smoke as well. It will be wonderful to enter a self-sabotage competition. I have done that before and will do it again. Story 78. I'll make it work. But I really dislike the smell. However, if she is my dream girl who looks perfect, cooks perfectly, and has a sweet heart, then I can accept it. Story 79. Smoking was the biggest concern when I was younger. I dated a girl who would smoke when she was stressed or at parties, despite knowing how much I disliked it. She eventually quit and switched to vaping early in our relationship. We have been together for 16 years and married for 12. Story 80. If that is her only negative, accept it unless you are allergic to smoke. If you really connect with her, she will likely try to quit for you, especially if you intend to marry her. Story 81. That my friend is known as a hard limit. I absolutely cannot and will not tolerate that. She isn't a perfect score if she smokes. She automatically becomes a 0. Story 82. Keep looking for the real woman of my dreams, as she wouldn't smoke to be the woman of my dreams in the first place. The other could be a good friend, but nothing more. Story 83. I met a girl a couple of years ago, and we hooked up. It turned into the start of a relationship until I got a job across the country and moved. We stayed in touch, met up when we could, and overall kept contact. Recently, I was in her town and we met to get some wine and catch up. About halfway through, I realized this was, in fact, a date. We were so comfortable with each other, and it felt like no time had passed. Later that night, she had a cigarette. We'd been drinking, so that was fine, but I noticed the ashtray outside filled with many cigarettes. It surprised me how quickly I was put off. I was still into her, but it affected my feelings knowing that this was a consistent habit. This has been a mental point for me when considering if this could actually work in the future when we might live in the same area. I'm okay with occasional drunk cigarettes. I enjoy sharing a cheeky drunk cigarette. However, consistent smoking is something I definitely notice. Is she the perfect woman for me otherwise? Honestly, I'm not sure, and the smoking might be influencing that opinion. Story 84. My current girlfriend smokes. She never does so in my car and always goes to the patio when we are at home. I do not insist on these things. She does them because she feels it is right. Her smoking is a non-issue for me. Story 85. Convince her to switch to vaping so I don't have to smell cigarettes all the time. I smoked for my whole life and switched to vaping over a year ago, and the smell of cigarettes does not appeal to me. That's just my solution. Anyway, I can't make someone quit anything, but compromises are something anyone can achieve. Story 86. Move on. It's one of those things that will turn me off and lead to disaster anyway. Plus, I'm not looking to take care of another cancer patient after my parents. Story 87. It's funny that this happened to me. I smoked and wanted to quit. I knew if I quit cigarettes and started vaping, she would also quit. She did. Story 88. Hypnotize her in her sleep or condition her. Each time she smokes, create a negative association with smoking. Reach her subconscious mind. Story 89. Pick up smoking again and then try to get us both to quit. I had an ex who did that for me so I could pay it forward. Story 90. For everyone saying, my dream girl wouldn't smoke, that's the whole point of the question. It's asking if you would date her if she checked every other box. If there wasn't a caveat, then the question just becomes, would you date the woman of your dreams? To the original poster, if I were single, yes. Story 91. Friend zone her, pretend to be a smoker who wants to quit. Encourage her to join you, then marry her once both of you have quit. Story 92. Addicts need other addictions to get distracted from the ones they already had after they quit. Turn her addiction to nicotine into an addiction to you. Story 93. I need to get another comfy armchair for my balcony so I can maintain my own smoking area. Story 94. The woman of my dreams would be feminine, supportive, not obese, have no tattoos, not smoke, have a low number of previous partners, 1 to 4, and be between 20 and 25 years old. Smoking is a deal breaker for me. Story 95. If she has every single trait I would like in a woman, she would be pretty sporty, as long as she can keep up on bike rides and does not smoke indoors, less than a pack a month, though a pack a year would be more attractive. Additionally, if she smokes cannabis, then that is fine with me. Story 96. Hard pass. This happened. I love him and thought it was doable. We got married and are having a baby now, and I fear him holding the baby while smelling of smoke. I couldn't handle the smell during my pregnancy. It didn't faze him. Pass. Story 97. Smoking is not a characteristic I would want in the woman of my dreams. Occasionally smoking a cigarette would not bother me, but I would prefer that she does not use marijuana. Story 98. I vape and use dip. I already got one of those ladies, and I got her to start vaping too. Story 99. Decide if you are willing to live with the 5% of her bad traits in order to enjoy the 95% of her good traits that you love and adore. Story 100. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I vape and come from a family of smokers. If this is a deal breaker for you, you need to determine if it's something she is willing to change and if she wants to quit eventually. Many smokers do not smoke for life. They often go through a lot of stress at some point or develop bad habits that stick. If you figure out why she vapes, you could help her stop unless she has no desire to quit. Personally, if I found someone I genuinely liked and saw a future with, and they disliked my habit, I would quit immediately if they approached me kindly because I wouldn't want to do something that makes them uncomfortable. Many people would feel the same way, but you are more likely to have a productive conversation the longer your relationship lasts, especially if you do not criticize her or make her feel guilty. Story 101. I would tolerate it in the initial stages of dating, but there needs to be a long-term plan for her to quit smoking. If after 4 months of dating she is not expressing a serious commitment to quitting, I would end the relationship. I work in cancer research, and dating a smoker long-term is not something that aligns with my values. Story 102. Still a perfect score. Smoking is harmful, but consider this. The girl of your dreams might be influenced by your habits. If it's cannabis, she deserves an exceptional rating. Cannabis is not addictive and is less harmful. Consider commitment with her. Story 103. Smoking is a deal breaker for me, but if she is perfect in every other way, I might consider it. Does she want to quit? Is she willing to use a vape instead? Story 104. If she's truly the girl of your dreams, it wouldn't matter if she smoked cigarettes. However, if she's using crack, that's a different issue. Story 105. That's a really good question, and to be honest, I don't know what I would do. Smoking is a big no for me. I might try to convince her to quit smoking, but if she doesn't, then I might have to refuse. Story 106. I had the same feeling with my now wife. I never smoked and could smell it instantly. I told her that she was everything I was looking for. She knew I didn't like smokers. After 6 months, she gave it up on her own. I never mentioned anything about her quitting. Story 107. Is this for real? You would not have lasted 5 minutes 30 years ago. If you are going to judge people for smoking, you should put the same energy into judging individuals with unhealthy lifestyles. I find unhealthy habits troubling. People should focus on making better health choices and incorporate regular exercise into their routines. Story 108. Well, the only woman I have ever had these types of feelings for smoked, and even though I am an asthmatic, I would have lived with it. Story 109. It's funny you say that because I'm in that situation right now. She mentioned that she used to smoke cigarettes, but now she vapes. However, she doesn't smell like a smoker. I think I can get over it. I don't particularly like the smell of cigarettes, but it doesn't necessarily bother me. I believe I can manage it, to be honest. Story 110. Tell her you love her and don't want to lose her to cancer. Ask if she would be willing to quit. Help her in any way you can. If she won't quit and it's important to you, let her know that it's the one thing about her that would affect your happiness. Go from there. Story 111. Maybe date her? But if it was a vape or cannabis, then I wouldn't have much of a problem there since I occasionally smoke some as well. That's up to you though. You establish the limits you want. Story 112. No, I don't think that affects me at all. I do it from time to time as well. Whether it's marijuana or regular cigarettes. I mean, if it were something like meth, then no, she wasn't the one. Story 113. Depends on what she smokes. If it is marijuana or cigars, I can deal with it, but no cigarettes. She will have to quit or go. Story 114. If she smokes, she wouldn't be the woman of my dreams. My qualifying criteria included no smoking. My wife checked every box, including that she is a non-smoker, which is why she is my wife now. However, there are always negotiable qualities that we are okay to let slide. For me, smoking was a non-negotiable because I dislike the habit. For another person, it might not be a deal breaker, and he would be fine with it. Story 115. Well, if she is the woman of your dreams and has everything you are looking for in a relationship, I suggest you seize that opportunity. Instead of focusing on her one flaw, how about you be a supportive partner? Story 116. I'd be fine because I love a cigarette too. Just kidding if you're against smoking, but the love of your life ends up being a smoker. I'd learn to get over my personal opinions and preferences. When you truly love someone, you love every part of them, or you learn to within reason. However, if you're set in your ways and want a non-smoker, keep looking. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.